everybody, we are back for the second part of the tutorial into the little heart. If you remember, we finished the last tutorial where we were just into the increases, just sort of down here. And what I've done now is I've worked all of the increases and then I've knit 5 just plain stocking stitch rows after that last increase. I did put just a little clippy marker on the front of my work. I think it's, even though you've only got 2 sides to worry about, I sometimes forget which side I've just worked. I know that sounds ridiculous. So, you know, I think, oh, I turn my work and I'm like, oh, what did I just do? So I find that if I just put a clippy marker on the front, then I know which is the front and which is the back, and that just helps me a little bit. So we've now got 52 stitches on our needle, and like I say, I've worked those 5 rounds in stocking stitch. So we're ready to shape the top. And this is where I'm going to veer off the pattern a little bit, because I'm not using DPNs, I'm using magic loop. So I will show you how I'm going to do this. Again, it's up to you whether you follow the pattern and use DPNs or if you use this method. I think this is simpler and less sort of faffy, if you like. First of all, we're working the right bump and then we're going to work the left bump. So we're going to start shaping the top of the heart. So we're going to knit one. We're then going to do an SSK, so that's slip one, knit through the front loop. So SSK, we're then going to knit 7. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. We're then going to knit 2 together and knit 1. So you should now have, because we had 26 on each needle, so we should have 13 left here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Correct. Now what we need to do is remove this section of stitches, front and back, that is going to form the left hand arc, if you like. The pattern tells you can just stick these on 2 DPNs. If you're using DPNs, you know, just leave this 13 and this 13 dangling on those 2 DPNs and carry on knitting around. I think that would be a bit cumbersome, having those DPNs just sort of flopping around in your way. What I'm going to do, and this is what I do for my Bryonybear trousers, is I'm going to remove those 26 stitches onto waste yarn. So all we're going to do is just slip them purlwise, and this is just some fingering weight yarn. I always try and use a waste yarn that's thinner than the yarn you're using, because then that makes it easier getting the stitches back off it. So let's just remove those purlwise onto your waste yarn, just slipping them, look, as if to purl. That's those ones. Push them onto your waste yarn and then turn your work, push your needle in again as if you were just working magic loop. Make sure you're not losing those stitches off there, that's fine. And then remove the next 13 onto your waste yarn. 2, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12 and 13, and just double check. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Lovely. And then pull your needle out. And then you've got those 26 stitches hanging there, just going to wait for us to finish this right hand bump. I'm just organising my yarn. There we go. So now we're just going to carry on and work magic loop on this second lot of stitches that's on the back. You're basically just repeating what you've done already. So we are knit 1, SSK, knit 7, knit 2 together, knit 1. Turn your work back. Let's pop that needle back on. So now we are just going to follow exactly what the pattern tells you. We're going to ignore those stitches that are hanging on our waste yarn. We're just working on these ones that we've got left here, and we're just working through, if you look now at the pattern, we're just going to work through these few rounds, decreasing for the top of this portion of the heart. I don't know what to call it. What is that called? What I'm going to do different is I'm going to do an extra increase because I want to try and make it a bit more rounded. So what I'll do is I'll work through to round 5, and then I'll see you back in a second when I've got to that point. Okay, so we've finished up to round 5 for the right top, is what the pattern calls it. I'm going to call it that. Now, what it tells you now to do is to just cut your yarn and Kitchener those stitches. We've got, it doesn't tell you how many you should have left on the pattern, but you've actually got 14 stitches. I think that produces quite a flat top. So what I'm thinking is if I work one more decrease round directly after that last decrease round, which was round 5, that might produce a more rounded top. So I'm just going to work one more round of decreases. So basically what we're going to do is knit 1 SSK. I'm just following the decreases that we did before. Knit 1, knit 2 together, and then knit 1, and then just do that on the other side. And because I'm thinking that, do you know how when you decrease on a toe it starts off gradual and then gets more rapid to produce a rounder toe? I just think if I do that, so I've got 2 decrease rounds together, then that should produce a little bit more of a rounded top. See how it goes. This is my brain process, you know, you're seeing it sort of live if you like. Okay, so we've done that, and that leaves us with 10 stitches. So I think once I've Kitchenered that, that will be better. So we need to Kitchener that top now. So I'm going to cut the yarn. So leave a nice tail. Look at these cute scissors. I have no idea where these came from. I gave them to Dan for his little notions pouch. So
hold on, are they mine?
Yes, I stole them because we're upstairs and I didn't want to go downstairs. So I'm cutting and leaving a decent tail. And this is also Dan's needle. Well, he never used. Well,
what?
Yeah, you hardly ever use them because
that's not true.
Totally forgets he's got a notion pouch.
That's not true.
That isn't true.
That was true, but that now is not true. I use it all the time.
Right. Okay.
Did I not give you my tape measure the other day?
He did. He actually had a tape measure
to
hand, and I didn't. So yeah, that was quite miraculous. So we're going to Kitchener now. Now I have done a separate tutorial for the Kitchener stitch, so I'm not going to go into it in detail. I'm just going to do it, and you know, you can watch it, or you know, you can go, if you've never done it before, you can go back and watch the tutorial before you do it.
The link is in the show notes.
There you go. So I'm just going to work the Kitchener stitch on these 10 stitches. It's 5 on each needle, so it won't take very long at all. last one's purl off, knit on, and then knit off, purl off. Okay, how does that look? Let's just pull that. You do get this kind of little nubbin, don't you, with Kitchener stitch on this side. But once that's pushed inside, I think it'll be okay. I think that's a bit better if we ignore that little nubbin, because that will go inside. I think that's kind of slightly more rounded than the pattern. I like that, and I think once it's stuffed as well, that will be okay. I quite like that. So that's that side. We can leave that end and sort that out later. So we now need to go back and do the other side. So we need to rejoin our yarn, and I'll do what the pattern tells you to do. It says to rejoin the yarn at needle 2, which is this point here. This was needle 1, effectively if it's DP ends, this was needle 2. So we're going to rejoin the yarn here in the centre point, and then work the decreases again. So we need to put these stitches back on the needle, and this is what we do. Really easy. We just take our needle and just pop it through the stitches, and you can see by using a thin waste yarn it gives you that space inside to pop it back. If we'd used a really thick or, you know, similar weight waste yarn, that it makes this process a little bit trickier. So we want 13 on this side. 2, 4, 6, 8, that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're then going to push our needle all the way through, because that's our starting point. Turn your work, and then do the same with the other 13. Whoops, we nearly missed one there. There it is, the little devil. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now it's this last one that likes to hide. If you look at that, it looks really weird, doesn't it? And you think, where's the stitch? If you pull this yarn, your waste yarn, it pops up, and there it is. Can you see? And you just have to keep your waste yarn tight. There we go, we've got it. It likes to try and escape that last stitch, but we know it's secret. Right, so we've got all our stitches back on, and we can now pull out that waste yarn. If it's been a bit reluctant, then just grab it at that centre point and pull it out that way. There we go. So we're all ready again to start working the same decreases. So to rejoin the yarn, all I would do is pull out my needle as if you were going to start knitting, grab your yarn, leave a tail just for weaving in, loop, make a loop, pop it over your needle, and you're away. So we're just working those exact same decreases again as we did on the other side. So knit 1, SSK. Don't worry about that first stitch being loose, because we'll tighten that up afterwards. So SSK, knit 7, knit 2 together, knit 1. So we're away again on the decreases for the top left. So work them exactly the same as we did for the other side. And again, I'm going to do that extra round decrease at the top. Same process again. Cut your yarn, Kitchener at the top. I will see you back for part 3, which will just be the finishing work, how we're going to put in a nice hanging loop and stuff it and weaving our ends. So I will see you back then.